Okay, maybe tweezers. And hey, wait a second, those joystick ain't real, and neither are those buttons. How am I supposed to play that? Hello, glue sniffers, paint huffers, and assorted people of the plastic. Well, my next automotive project is another one that kind of has to do with family. In the 70s through the 80s, family business was video games, pool tables, jukeboxes, pinball machines. And so I saw somebody's model kit that, when they had done it up, looked a lot like the truck that Dad had with the business. And so it was an early 70s fleet side that had a Tommy lift on the back. So I got a repop of that kit, and with some scratch building of some things, I'm going to recreate Dad's old truck. And I also got some supposedly in scale video games that are going to be sitting in the bed. Well, one thing I just noticed is that this has bucket seats and a console. Dad's truck had bench seats, so this could turn into a disaster, but I'm going to Dremel that down. It was raised a little higher. There's a new cheap Dremel I got. I'm gonna Dremel that down and get out some Milliput and try to turn it into a bench seat. Well, got the wheels and tires onto the chassis. I got shiny the underside. And one other quick little thing I did, gonna need to get that resprayed, is I drilled out some holes in the exhaust. You know, just one of those tiny little things that can really make a difference. Also, masked off and painted the bed, as well as the front part of the cab. Got the white coat done. So next, I'm gonna get the kind of metallic brown. Gonna add some yellow in that to get the right shade. And also made some fairly significant progress on turning those bucket seats into a bench. Got it sanded down pretty well. But there were some areas where it just kind of flaked out, and so that's a mix of Milliput and Vallejo acrylic putty. So gonna be quite a bit of sanding and smoothing on that yet to go. Okay, got all the various parts for the Space Invaders cut. So then just glue them together and get it painted. And I've kind of got a secret weapon for putting things together. That's my secret weapon. So, and hopefully that's not too big, but I think it will work. Magnets. Put that on the inside, that on the outside. The magnets hold it at a 90-degree angle. And that is like a little stand that can go into there. And I'll show you as I have pieces going together later. Well, if you look at that shape, if you were around video arcades or saw video games in the 80s, that should look familiar. That's the shape of Space Invaders. I'm pretty happy with the way that's come out. Just need to sand it, maybe use just a little tiny bit of filler on some of the edges, but that I'm fairly happy with. And mocked up, that looks more appropriately sized. Also, it doesn't really look like it, but that feels pretty smooth. That conversion of bucket seats to a bench. I'll hit that with primer again tomorrow and see how it looks then. So working a little more with this Space Invaders, discovered it was kind of leaning to the side, so I'm trying to sand that down and get it kind of feathered. Same over there. And also from the 80s, hopefully you can recognize that shape. If you didn't, that's basically the shape of Pac-Man. Also need to just put some ribbing in there, and I'm going to put another piece of styrene over the top of that. This one stayed a lot more square than the Space Invaders did. But I think between some sanding, kind of feather those down, with some sanding plus minus some putty, that should get those done. Also primered my bench seat just to see what else, just how much sanding needed to be done. And yep, definitely need to do a little more to get better shaping on it. But I've also got this guy, got the white done. Same here, and that's what's under the tape. I'm gonna get that kind of yellow gold, mustard yellow paint done on the inside, and get some work on that. Meanwhile, need to start working on the dash as well. So I got my yellow down. I mix that myself with metallic brown and flat yellow. I think that matches the color pretty well. So next step on that will be to unmask the trim and mask over the yellow so I can paint. There's a bit of a black stripe that goes through some of the trim. So I'll paint that black and eventually get some bare metal foil on it. And as we were, just out of the corner of my eye, I just spilled some of that Tamiya extra thin. Probably need to get any of it that spilled onto my mat right there cleaned off as well before I have the stuff stuck to it. Also still sanding away to get those things good and vertical. Might look kind of all right, but you know, it's just not quite symmetric. Kind of leans over on the two sides, so I'm trying to get it nice and straight on and 90 degrees on the ground on both sides. All right, got a little bit more stuff on there to try to get it evened out. Front to back, it wasn't quite right. I also got it filled in on the various little ledges there, so to get it to feather and smooth out. Used a new product, or at least new to me, was Bondo glazing and spot putty, and so far I'm seeing that it spreads a lot easier than like the Tamiya gray. So we'll just So we'll just have to see how that works out. So I've got those parts masked off. Haven't quite masked off over here because I was just doing some touch-up on the kind of gold there in the corners. Had a spot of just bare primer. So finished masking those off and let things, I may just let that fresh gold paint sit there a little longer before I unmask and then remask that area, but you can kind of see the color scheme that's developing. Okay, got the last part of the main painting of the body done. Masked off the black areas, so let that dry. Same thing on the cab and hood. Let that black dry. Then we'll put some foil for the chrome parts. Well, give it a clear coat, then put the foil on that. So, also got some primer drying on the seats, and I think that's looking smooth enough to start painting that. Also need to start painting the dash. Okay, basically got the pretty much all the color done. Got a few little touch-ups to do, like right there, there was some black on the bottom, so I need to touch up that with a kind of gold color. Maybe a little bit of touch up right there, although a lot of that's going to be covered up with foil and black, but some of that's still going to be white. I guess a little touch up on the door. And where this back window goes, although I just wonder, you know, some of that's going to be covered up with foil. Yeah, that part of the door needs a touch up. But overall, I'm really starting to see Dad's truck coming into being. Ooh! Also just realized I haven't painted the hood. Alright, got that interior painted. And I also got this part interior painted. Hood. Don't know if I showed you this, but that's pretty much ready for the clear coat and then the metal foil. Cab area still, and it's almost like playing touch-up roulette. And yes, I need to touch that up as well. Little touch up there. But I got that touch up done. And another one back in there. I guess get that done. I've also got these sanded down pretty good. Need to get them in primer. And then, you know, some brush painting details like getting, you know, the pedals, and some parts of that dash are going to need to be black. So making a lot of progress on that one. And on that seat, if I find myself totally dissatisfied with, you know, I think once I get it in, you're not going to be able to see some of those imperfections. That, you know, honestly, with naked eye, I can't really see those imperfections, but I bought another truck kit with just some parts, and I started realizing, you know, I could have just looked at the instructions on ScaleMates and realized, you know, I could have just cut the bench out of that kit and just inserted it into there. But oh well, figure things out later. Well, here's something that rarely seen: a pretty much clean model bench. Yep, reason it's clean, it's Sunday and I'm getting ready to travel to Dixie Station. I felt like I made a whole bunch of progress. Hadn't used masks in quite a while like I had on this one for various things. Got this masked up for some touch-ups, and got a few things I'm leaving out on those sticks. Also got a haircut. The lady took a little more off on the back than I wanted, but there's still like a little bit of a party going on that you can't really see that well when I turn to the sides. You know, it's more like a gathering of 2 or 3 instead of a big blowout party like it had been. Honestly, I think I had it where I had the longest hair on any modeling video, with the exception of Luca's grandson Felix. Anyway, that's another week of showing you mine to hopefully make you feel better about yours. Keep modeling.